Hey guys, Freddy here, welcome back to the channel, and this time I'd like to talk about this. D20 or Die, Memories of Old School Role-Playing Games from Today's Grown-Up Kids. Now this is a compilation of essays by various people within the role-playing industry mainly, talking about their start in role-playing in the 70s and 80s, and it's edited by Jim Beard. Now Jim got in contact with me the other day asking if I would like a review copy for the channel, and I very gratefully accepted, especially as the way he got in contact was he never put any demands on me. He didn't ask me to make sure I did a review within this timescale. He never demanded that I give it a good review. He just said, have a look, see what you think. I'm looking forward to see what you've got to say. And that's massively appreciated, somebody who's got confidence in their work. And quite rightly, because I really enjoyed this. When I got it, within about 12 hours, I had read it from cover to cover. About 200 pages it is. I really enjoyed all the stories within. Now these are people who at the time, while some of them are big names now, or larger names you would recognise, there weren't anybody way back then. They were just gamers like us, people in their teenage years and younger in some cases, who found copies of Dungeons and Dragons and got into role-playing. And these are the stories about that time. And there's stuff about the satanic panic in here, people encountering it and getting scared off their books, interrogated by people at their church, which are fascinating stories. I've got a big interest in that. But there's so many other personal stories. There was one absolutely heartbreaking story of a guy who was getting into Traveller, and then he realised his friends are kind of bullying him by forcing his character just to be a guard. And one of them turns around to him at some point and just turns and says, "Oh, we only invite you along because you've got the books." So he ended up taking the books away, never speaking to those friends again, and he actually threw them on his dad's bonfire later in the year and hasn't really looked at Traveller since. And your heart just goes out to people reading these sad stories. We can all understand that from when we were at school and going through those situations. But there's other absolutely brilliant stories where they misunderstood the rules, the way we all did. Many of them explain that obviously there was no YouTube back there was no internet to look at how things were done. So we didn't really know the rules. One group, they mention they didn't know that wizards only got to cast a single spell at first level. So their first level wizard's going around casting light on the eyeballs of zombies and blinding them so the fighter can go and attack. Now, that's not by the rules, but it sounds a whole load of fun. And they're the kind of crazy things I seem to remember doing when we didn't really know the rules. We got Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, it was these big tomes, and there's no way we, at 12, 13 years old, would memorise all these rules. So a lot of it we would just make up. And these are the stories of that. There's some fabulous stories in here. There's some absolutely heartbreaking ones. As I said, the bullied kid was one of them. There's another one where they go away to an event, him and his friend, and when they get back they find out the friend's dad has committed suicide, which is really heavy. That one doesn't seem to be as much as related to role-playing as it is to just life in the 1970s, 1980s. It mentions stuff about the space shuttle, and I very clearly remember those days. I remember rushing home from school to watch the launch of the first space shuttle. So this is all absolutely brilliant to me. I really enjoyed these stories and the way that they brought back all these memories. They made me want to write my own bit for it because they brought back the way I got into role-playing just totally at random, as I think most of us did. It's not like there was a big advertising campaign, it's not like there was a big movie like there is now where we would watch it and get into it. We just kind of discovered it. I think my personal way of getting into it was I saw a gaming magazine and thought it was a video gaming magazine and picked it up, and then found all these wonderful maps of dungeons in it and castles and role-playing stuff that just enticed me into the hobby. I found absolutely fascinating, and I was lucky enough to find somebody at school who played Dungeons and Dragons, and then I could get into it through that. But these are full of stories like that. There's stories from all angles. It's absolutely packed, and I can only highly recommend it. Now I'll link down to the Amazon page down below, which Jim sent me through. And if you'd like it, then pick it up. I can only recommend it. Anyway, as usual, I think I've whittled on for quite long enough. especially as I don't want to go into too many details about the stories within, because pick it up and read them for yourself. You'll really enjoy them. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.